Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Global Times USA. Subscribe and like my videos. Today we dive deep into one of the most impactful, shocking, and globally resonating conflicts of our time, the Russia-Ukraine war, which has now become far more than just a regional battle. It has grown into a global crisis, shaking politics, economics, military strategies, and even the way ordinary people around the world see the future of security and peace. This war is not just being fought with tanks and soldiers, it is being fought with drones, missiles, cyber weapons, and information battles that redefine what modern warfare looks like. And as we move forward, it is clear that the devastating strikes, drone storms, and new alliances forming signal the dawn of a global power shift. When we talk about the exterior of this war, we first look at the surface, the battlefield, the destroyed cities, the ruined bridges, and the endless drone strikes that dominate headlines every single day. Ukraine has used long-range drones to strike deep into Russian territory, targeting oil depots, factories, and even Moscow's suburbs. Russia, on the other hand, continues its heavy bombardment, raining missiles and artillery shells on Ukrainian cities, energy grids, and ports. The visible exterior of this conflict is terrifying: shattered apartment blocks, burning vehicles, anti-aircraft defenses lighting up the night sky, and civilians fleeing from destroyed neighborhoods. The exterior represents what the world sees on the surface: destruction, smoke, fire, and a devastating landscape of war. But if we look at the interior, the inside story is even more complex, layered, and dramatic. Inside this war lies the political chessboard, where Russia aims to reassert dominance while Ukraine fights for survival, sovereignty, and the future of its people. Inside are the hidden strategies of NATO, the European Union, and the United States, who provide Ukraine with intelligence, weapons, and financial aid while carefully balancing not to provoke a direct global war. The interior also involves the psychological struggle of millions of civilians, families separated, children growing up under air raid sirens, soldiers living with the trauma of daily battles, and nations preparing for an uncertain future. Economically, the interior of this war shakes global supply chains, drives up energy costs, and changes the way countries trade resources like oil, gas, and grain. It is inside this war that we see the resilience of the Ukrainian people, the tightening grip of Russian authority, and the growing fear among neutral nations about whether they may be dragged into the next chapter of global conflict. The interior is massive, complicated, and critical to understanding why this war is not just Ukraine's struggle but the world's. In terms of performance, the war has highlighted the performance of modern weapons and strategies in ways no military analyst could have fully predicted. Drones, once thought of as secondary weapons, are now at the center of combat. Ukraine has shown the performance of smaller, faster, and cheaper drones to disable expensive Russian military equipment and strike targets far behind enemy lines. Russia has demonstrated the performance of long-range missile systems, hypersonic weapons, and electronic warfare designed to jam or intercept enemy communications. The performance is also measured in how each country's economy and population endure under constant pressure. Ukraine's performance, backed by international aid, is about resistance and innovation. Russia's performance is about endurance, using its larger population, resources, and alliances with nations like China, Iran, and North Korea to keep its war machine running. The performance of this war is not just about weapons, it's about how nations adapt, survive, and continue despite unimaginable losses. Safety features in this war may sound unusual, but they exist in the form of defensive systems, protective strategies, and humanitarian efforts. Air defense systems like the American Patriot, the German Iris-T, and Ukraine's own upgraded Soviet Terra defenses serve as safety shields against Russian missiles and drones. Safety is also found in bunkers, bomb shelters, and the underground metro systems of cities like Kiev, which double as protection for civilians during bombardments. On a broader level, safety features include the diplomatic channels still open between countries, where negotiations attempt to prevent escalation into nuclear confrontation. Safety is fragile, but without these protective layers, the destruction would be even more catastrophic. When we analyze the unique selling points of this war in terms of global impact, one key element stands out. This is not a localized conflict. The unique selling point of the Russia-Ukraine war is that it has become the testing ground for 21st century warfare, reshaping global alliances and exposing vulnerabilities. For military powers around the world, Ukraine has become a real-time battlefield laboratory where they observe how drones, cyber attacks, and missile defenses perform under real conditions. For world leaders, the unique selling point is how the war is forcing a re-evaluation of international order. Nations like India, Turkey, Brazil, and African countries are recalculating their positions, no longer seeing the West or Russia as the only poles of power. The unique selling point for ordinary citizens is the realization that no one is safe from global wars. Energy prices, food shortages, and migration waves all ripple across continents. This war is unique because it is reshaping the future of power, economics, and survival across the planet. If we were to attach a price to this war, it would be astronomical. The financial cost of rebuilding Ukraine is already estimated in the hundreds of billions of dollars. The price in terms of lost lives, broken families, and destroyed infrastructure is beyond calculation. Russia, too, pays a massive price in international isolation, sanctions, and the human cost of its soldiers' lives. The global economy pays a price as well: inflation, disrupted trade, and higher costs of living. For countries dependent on Russian gas or Ukrainian grain, the price shows up in higher bills, shortages, and political instability. The price is not just monetary, it is emotional, cultural, and generational. A whole generation of Ukrainians grows up with war as their reality, while Russians live under increasing control and isolation. The price is truly global. In conclusion, the Russia-Ukraine war is not only a military confrontation, but a monumental turning point in history. It shakes the foundations of international politics, challenges the old order of power, and opens the door to a multipolar world where new alliances and conflicts will shape the decades to come. The devastation of strikes and drone storms highlights the transformation of warfare itself. The resilience of Ukraine shows the determination of a nation to fight for its freedom, while Russia's persistence shows how global powers will go to great lengths to assert dominance. The conclusion is sobering. This war is not just about territory. It is about the future of security, sovereignty, and survival in a world where the balance of power is shifting. As devastating as it is, the war is also a wake-up call for humanity to understand the risks of conflict and the urgent need for dialogue, peace, and cooperation before the next great global crisis erupts.